going to read a couple of pieces of poetry that I wrote last year that will take us through an event that did happen to me. I had met somebody last October, and that's kind of where this first piece begins, this series. I said, any love I find would have to be an artist, musician, writer, poet, philosopher. I said it must be someone of a creative mind, someone who shared the same passion for expression. I realized I don't get to control the who, or the where, or the when. How love presents itself is not a custom order through Amazon with free 2-day delivery. It's from a random, out of the blue, manic moment of pure impulse, where you think to yourself, today I'll put Tinder on my phone, just for the hell of it. And you're fumbling through swiping right when you meant to swipe left, and swiping left when you probably should be swiping right. Fake after fake. Motorcycle after motorcycle, bodybuilder after bodybuilder, CEOs and VPs. Just lies after lies after lies. But you come across a profile written from a witty nerd and you swipe right because he made you smile and laugh to yourself and think you share the same sense of humor. Connected. I message him with a sarcastic comment about his profile, and we chat. It's fun, but I move on. I have 600 plus likes that I had to sort through. Fakes and more fakes, so I don't bother. We chat again and again. I like him. There's a problem, a big one. Sex. It's what he openly has said he is looking for. He has his reasons, and I have mine for hesitance. But we keep talking, discussing, asking one another questions. I begin to soften as he begins to realize that he has feelings. I am bold and invite myself jokingly on a business trip. He says, really? Would you actually go with me? I wasn't ready for it to be an option. My mind is saying no as my fingers are typing yes. Plans now set after many, many, many texts, back and forth with, whoa, we're moving way too fast, thinking way too far ahead of ourselves, both guilty, both reeling one another back to reality, because sex is our only relationship possibility. But there's something happening. It has him thinking. It has me thinking. Has us future seeing? But this is broken hearts and chaos. And still, he says, I want you. And still, I say I want you too. The like you lots turn to playful love you. 12 message exchanges just to end a conversation. Because goodbyes are difficult to do. Both lying alone, questioning, what happens if I love you? So, from there, I wrote another piece, and I said, so far in the clouds, I can no longer see my fear of heights below me, or even the risk ahead clearly. Future's hazy, hard to make it out with all this happy in my eyes. That feeling of empty that goes with me everywhere has been filled with an aching in the pit of my stomach. I wouldn't trade it. Let the butterflies kill me if they wish. I'm sure I deserve it. So then I did a handwritten note that I posted on Instagram that said, note to self, guess what? You're actually happy. Dated 10/3/2018. So then on my birthday, which was October 11th, I put up an exchange that we had in text messages in a picture that said him saying happy birthday, and I said, I have the biggest smile on my face. Instant. And then I said, I love you. And he said, my pleasure. And in the caption it said, when he has already messaged it many times and called and told me several times, but knows, I need to hear it again. So all going well. Then there's this poem. It was a picture of the definition of regret. Feel sad, repentant, or disappointed over something that has happened or been done, especially a loss of missed opportunity. As we stood by my car, saying goodbye, he said how sorry he was between each kiss. He held me close and said, I love you. I believe that he wanted things to be different. I believe that he loves me. I also believe I left him with something he will never be able to forget. Regret. I placed it in his hands and got in my car. I had no room for it in my life, no reason to hold on to it. It wasn't mine, but it will be his. He will see it written on the backs of his eyelids every time he tries to sleep. It will be in every kiss he doesn't feel on his skin but craves. Silence will remind him on every single drive to and from the office. Something will be missing. Regret will replace the voice in his earpiece and the smile on his face. Regret will flash like warning signs in his wife's empty eyes, and he will remember the hearts in mine. He will want to be wanted and want to be loved again. Regret was not mine to keep, but it will be his. So that turned into months of me being really upset and kind of going into a really bad place. And on January 1st of 2019, I wrote this piece, which I read live with so much emotion behind it, because it was me finally addressing what had happened and getting it out and letting go of it. And so this is the piece. I can't write of sexual experiences when thoughts of sex are non-existent, when all feelings of desire crawled out of that hotel room in Maryland and laid across the interstate and welcomed the 18-wheelers parade to sterilize me, rid me of any need for sex, for affection, and longing I may have had for love, or to ease my lonely. Lonely certainly feels nothing like hurt. He hurt me, and he didn't care. I told him how fragile I was, how badly love has been to me. He knew I was outside my comfort zone of a relationship through a phone, where words are always enough, where words are safe. For weeks before, he had been kind and attentive behind a screen. He was a lot like me, questioned everything. He suffered from anxiety. We were calming to one another because the need for planning was shared. Both of us felt it was a necessity to functioning. He said he hadn't been so happy in years. We said I love you each morning and evening and in messages all day. And I believed it. I still believe. When we finally met that October in the hotel lobby, I was hopeful. It was to be a 2-night getaway. Dinner dates and breakfasts in the cafe or possibly in bed. We talked about all of it. There was pure passion once we were behind closed doors. It was like the scenes where the couples kiss and fireworks explode around them. There was the predicted quick sex, knowing he would be unable to hold back. Since it had been 3.5 years for him, For me, it had been since March. I had no expectations of any real pleasure other than the intimacy. I am notoriously void, except for the person that I refer to as my one. We were in sync. Trust was always immeasurable. I was always at ease with him just to be me. So I was ready for an amazing time talking and laughing and feeling like I was actually on a date. I didn't care about how my body would not be responsive. It wasn't what I was excited about. I was excited to feel like a couple. Even if it would only have been for that short amount of time. See, he was unhappily married, and I was accepting of it. We met on Tinder. He was honest from the get-go, and I had originally said no. But I didn't think this was for me. We kept talking, and something was happening. As we grew closer and closer, before I knew it, I was bent over his office desk on a Friday. That was our very first encounter, a less than 10-minute visit, because he had to be home. He's a man with a routine, with a schedule, and this disrupted it. We accepted this was not representative of what our trip away would be. This was just an awkward first meeting. Maryland was going to be fantastic, which is why I did not count that as the sex we both had. It felt like a dirty deal, a business transaction behind closed doors that I didn't even get paid for. So we talked, reassuring one another that did not count. That was not what these days together between his business meetings would be. The way we held one another in that doorway was desperate. It was a please don't ever let go. I need to make up for every second I've been without touch in my entire life. The hug and the kiss before the sex confirmed this. Confirmed us. These feelings were real, and they were obvious. Something happened, though, to him. Not too far into our time in the room alone, I watched as his anxieties took control. He would hold me, but he was trembling, covering his face. He felt guilt he was not ready to feel. And all this planning, he had not once thought that could happen. Guilt because our evident connection. I talked him down as best I could, and even before we left the room to go to dinner, he said, I have to ask you something. If I need you to leave in the morning, will you understand and be okay? I said I'd do whatever he needed to make it right. He said he didn't know how he was going to be able to focus for his meetings. We talk more while we're eating. He held my hand the entire time across the table, but could not control the shaking. When we got back to the room, the kissing begins again, and it's even more intense. Clothes are off and bodies are on, and he is emotionally inside all of me. I am losing myself to memories of an experience I never thought could happen again. I was feeling this was love we were making, not making love. There's a distinct difference felt in the continuous kiss where you must breathe for the other to survive this. You know in this moment you are saving one another from the emptiness, from all the alone you've been feeling. He does not sleep at all and is a wreck by morning. And I still have hope that he will realize that what he is asking me to do will change things, that telling me I have to go home so soon would make me upset. But he doesn't, and after breakfast, he walks me to my car, kisses me goodbye. He is cold every convo thereafter. One-word answers, and not one I love you. There were many I'm sorries at the hotel and in the first few messages, but To save himself, he shut down his feelings. He said he liked his life, not his wife, loved his son and his home. He knew this would eventually come to a place where decisions would need to be made, ones where, in the unfair system of divorce, she would take half, plus more. He could not afford. He liked the life he had, even without love. He said it was enough. It took me a few weeks to not feel the ache in my gut. There was a point weeks after that we spoke, and I called him a fucking asshole. I even said that I wasn't saying it with malice, that it was just me stating facts. He agreed, and we have not spoken since. This was a long way to get back to what I was trying to say. I can't write of sexual experience when it is non-existent, when all feelings of desire have been put to rest by my reasons of personal safety, where every day since I have eaten until the ugly was back in place, until I couldn't stand the sight of my face. So I read that night live, and then something happened. It was like I gave it away, and it wasn't mine anymore. And ever since that January, I have been losing weight and taking care of myself. You know, I've had a couple slip-ups, but life is definitely different. I started doing the lives and just putting myself out there, and I am in such a better place because of that piece that I wrote. So that was it. Just wanted to read all of those together. I've done it once before on a live, but wanted to make sure I recorded them so that I could keep them. All right, thanks for listening.